The false color. There was once a fine gentleman whose household consisted of nothing but a bootjack and a comb. But he possessed the most charming false collar in the world, and it is the history of this collar that we are about to hear. Well, upon my soul, said the false collar, never have I seen anything so slender and delicate, so pretty and soft. May I take the liberty of asking your name? I'm not going to tell you, said the garter. Where do you live? Inquired the collar. But the garter was modest and shy, and seemed to think that even this was too impertinent a question. You seem to be an ornament, said the collar. An ornament to be worn under the dress. I see you are as useful as you are beautiful, little lady. You should not speak to me like that, returned the garter. I do not think I have given you any encouragement. But, says the collar, a beauty like yours should encourage one to anything. But you are not to come near me, said the garter. You look as though you were a man. Yes, I am a fine gentleman, retorted the false collar proudly. I have a bootjack and a comb all to myself. But this was not true, rules was supposed. The bootjack and the comb belonged to his master, not to him. Don't you come so near me, I tell you, said the garter. I'm not used to such familiarities. So you are a prude, said the discomfited collar, and then they were taken out of the wash tub. He was starched and then hung across the chair in the sunshine, and at last laid upon the ironing board. Now the hot iron approached him. Lady, said the false collar to the iron, dear little widow, I am getting so hot. I am becoming quite a different creature. Wrinkles are all taken out of me. Will you burn a hole in me? Ah, dear little widow, may I pay my respects to you? Nonsense, said the iron, and paused haughtily over the collar. She imagined herself to be a steam engine, that one day or other she would put up a railway to draw carriages. The false collar was a little afraid of the engines, so a pair of scissors was brought to clip off the loose ends. Oh, said the false collar, you surely must be a ballet dancer. The way you can throw your feet about. Never have I seen anything so charming. No human being can do it. I know that, said the scissors. You deserve to be a countess, said the false collar. I myself have only got a bootjack and a comb, but if I had an earldom. Are you corking? Said the scissors, and got very indignant. And then she cut into him, and that was his third dismissal. I can try and propose to the comb, said the false collar. It is delightful to see how long you keep your teeth, young lady. Have you ever thought of getting engaged? Why, yes, said the comb. You should have known that I'm engaged to the bootjack. Engaged to the bootjack, repeated the false collar in consternation. There was now no one left to whom he could pay his addresses, and so he began to despise marriage altogether. A long time passed. At last the collar found himself in a box at the paper mill. There was a large collection of rags and tatters, the fine and coarse neatly separated, just as they ought to be. Every one of them had a great deal to tell, and most of all the false collar, for he was a great bragger. I have had a great number of sweethearts, he said. They would not give me any peace. That was because I was such a fine gentleman, beautifully starched. I had a bootjack and a comb, neither of which I ever used. You should have known me then. I looked a fine fellow. Never shall I forget my first love. She was an ornamental woman, delicate, soft, and pretty. For my sake she threw herself into a tub of water. Then there was an old widow lady who grew red with passion, but I did not care for her, and let her get black with annoyance. There was a ballet dancer, too. She gave me a cut you can see here. That's how furious she would become. Even my own comb was in love with me, and she lost all her teeth in despair. Indeed, I've had many experiences of that kind. But I grieve most for the garter. I mean, the ornamental ribbon who threw herself into the tub of water. I have a great deal on my conscience. It would do me good to become white paper. And indeed, like all the other rags, the collar was turned into white paper. He was made into the very sheet upon which the story is printed. This was the punishment for his abominable boasting, and we should remember this and not do likewise. For how do we know what we shall not end up on a box ourselves and be made into white paper on which our whole story is printed and our misdeeds made known everywhere, just in the case of the false collar?